story number 1. I don't know exactly when it started. That's the part that bothers me the most, because if I could pinpoint the exact moment, then maybe I could make sense of it. But it wasn't like that. It wasn't loud, it wasn't obvious. Nothing dramatic happened. It was small, so small that if I told someone else, they would probably say I was overthinking. And maybe I am. I've actually told myself that 100 times already. But still, something doesn't feel right. From the outside, everything looks normal. We're good. We laugh. We talk. We go out sometimes. He checks in. He calls me. He shows up. There's nothing I can point to and say, this is wrong. And that's what makes it worse. Because when something is actually wrong, you can deal with it. You can confront it. You can fix it. Or leave it. But this is like trying to grab onto air. He hasn't done anything. But something feels different. Not in a big way, just slightly. Like his presence is there, but not fully there. Like he's with me. But part of him is somewhere else. And I hate that feeling. Because it doesn't come with proof. It just sits in your chest and makes everything feel off. At first, I ignored it. I told myself, you're fine. You're thinking too much. Don't start creating problems. Because I'm not the type to start arguments. I don't like confrontation. I don't even like asking too many questions. So I let it go. Or at least, I tried to. But then I started noticing something. Again, small. So small I almost didn't even pay attention to it. It would happen like this. I'd call him. The phone would ring. Once, twice, 3 times, and then it would go to missed call. Nothing unusual about that, right? People miss calls all the time. I miss calls. But then, about 2 minutes later, sometimes 3, my phone would ring, and it would be him, calling me right back. At first, I didn't think anything of it. If anything, I thought it was considerate. Like, okay, he saw the call, he called back. That's normal. That's what you're supposed to do. But then it kept happening. Not once, not twice, not randomly. Every time. I would call, no answer. And then, 2 to 3 minutes later, he would call me back. And I don't know why, but something about that timing started to stick with me. Because it wasn't. Call back right away. And it wasn't. Call back much later. It was always that same small window of time. 2 minutes. 3 at most. Just enough time to... What? That's when my mind started doing what it does. At first, I tried to be logical. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he's in the middle of something. Maybe he just can't get to the phone fast enough. That makes sense. That's reasonable. But then another thought came in. Quiet at first, but persistent. If you see my call, and you're able to call me back, just 2 minutes later, why didn't you just answer? And I didn't like that question, because it didn't come with a comfortable answer. So I pushed it away, again. But once you notice something, you don't really unnotice it. The next time it happened, I paid attention. I actually watched the clock. I called, it rang, no answer. I looked at the time, and I waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes, then my phone rang. Him. Exactly like before. And I just stared at the screen for a second before I answered. Because now, it didn't feel random anymore. It felt intentional. And I didn't say anything. Of course I didn't. I answered like everything was normal. I spoke like everything was fine. But in my head, something had already shifted. Not a big shift, not something anyone else would notice. But enough for me to start watching, listening, paying attention in a way I hadn't before. And that's when everything started to change. Once I noticed the pattern, I couldn't go back to not seeing it. That's the thing about awareness. It doesn't ask for permission, it just stays. And I tried. I really did try. to be logical about it, to give it normal explanations, to be fair. But the problem is, I'm not new to this. I've lived life. I've seen things. I've been on different sides of situations. And that changes how you see things. Because once you've experienced something, you recognize it differently. And that's when the thought came in. Not loud, not dramatic, just very clear. What if he's with someone? I didn't say it out loud. I didn't even fully let myself sit in it at first. But it stayed. Because the timing was just a little too perfect. Think about it. I call. He doesn't answer. 2 minutes later, he calls me back. Not 10 minutes, not 30, not, I was busy for a while. Just enough time to remove himself from wherever he was. That thought sat heavy. Because if that's what it is, then it's not random. It's controlled. And if it's controlled, that means it's intentional. And if it's intentional, that means he's aware of what he's doing. And that's when my mind went somewhere else. Somewhere I didn't even want it to go. But it went anyway. Because if I'm being honest, that's exactly what I would do. If I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, and my phone rang, I wouldn't answer. Not right there. I would step away, create space, control the environment. Then call back like everything was normal. And the fact that I could map that out so easily made it feel less like a random thought and more like a possibility. And I didn't like how natural that felt. Because now I'm not just guessing. I'm recognizing. And recognition feels different. It's quieter, but it hits deeper. And then something else came back to me, a memory I hadn't thought about in a long time. But it came back so clearly, like it had been waiting. I used to deal with someone a while ago, and I remember exactly how he used to move. His phone would ring, and he'd look at it, and I'd see the name. His girlfriend. He wouldn't answer. He would silence it. Not decline it, not send a message, just silence it. And then, almost immediately, everything about him would shift. His energy, his focus. He'd start moving fast. Grabbing his clothes, putting his shoes on, barely even looking at me. And he'd say something like, "I'll be right back. I'm just going to run to the lobby real quick." The lobby? For what? A soda. That was always the excuse. I'm going to go get a soda. And one day, I remember thinking, that doesn't make sense. So I tested it. I made sure there were sodas in the room, every kind the machine had. And when it happened again, and he said he was going to the lobby, I said, "There's soda right here." And do you know what he did? He still left. Didn't even hesitate. Just, "I'll be right back." And he walked out anyway. And when he came back, his phone wasn't ringing anymore. No missed calls, no urgency. Just calm. Like whatever needed to happen had already happened. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh, that's what that is. And I hate that that memory came back. Because now, I can't separate it from this. Now when my phone rings, and he doesn't answer, and then calls me back 2 minutes later, I don't just see a missed call anymore. I see movement. I see him looking at his phone, seeing my name and making a decision. Not to answer, but to step away first, and then call me once he's in a safe space. Maybe outside. Maybe sitting in his car. Maybe standing somewhere where no one can hear me on the other end. And then his voice comes through the phone like, "Hey, what's up?" Normal, calm, unbothered. And I respond the same way. Like I don't see it. Like I don't feel it. Like I'm not sitting there replaying the timing in my head. And then there's something else that I can't ignore. I've seen how he moves with her. His ex. I've been around them. And I've noticed something very specific. He does not answer my calls when he's with her. At all. Not even a quick answer, not even a text. Nothing. But if she calls him, it doesn't matter where we are. He answers. Immediately. Not after 2 minutes, not after stepping away. Right then. And if we're doing something, watching a movie, sitting together, talking, he'll say, hold on. Or even, can you mute that for a second? So he can hear her clearly. And I sit there, watching that, taking it in, not saying anything, but feeling everything. Because I can't help but think, why doesn't it work the same way for me? Why don't I get that same immediacy? That same priority? And I already know the answer he would give. He would say, that's the mother of my child. And maybe that's valid. Maybe. But I'm his wife. And I don't think being his wife should come with less access, less urgency, less consideration. I don't think I should be the one getting the delayed response, the controlled callback, the I'll get to you in a few minutes energy, while someone else gets immediate attention. No hesitation. And then when I think about it too long, the explanations he gives me start to sound thin. Like, I was on the phone. Okay, but for 2 minutes? Every time? Or, I was outside the car talking. So you didn't see my call, but you saw it 2 minutes later? Exactly 2 minutes later. And I don't say anything. I don't question it. I don't push. But in my mind, it all gets filed away. Every time. And the more it happens, the less it feels like coincidence. And the more it starts to feel like something I already understand. Something I've seen before. Something I've been part of before. And that's the part that won't let me relax. Because it's not just a thought anymore. It's a pattern, with a history behind it. And I don't know if I'm right. But I don't feel wrong either. And that space in between is the hardest place to sit. And the thing is, I could ask him. That's what a normal person would do, right? Just ask. But I already know how that goes. It wouldn't be a real conversation. It would be controlled. Still, one day, I almost did. It happened the same way it always does. I called. He didn't answer. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. Him. I stared at it for a second before picking up. Then I answered. Hey. His voice was calm. Too calm. Like nothing had just happened. Hey, what were you doing? I tried to sound normal, casual, like I wasn't asking anything serious. Working, he said. Quick, simple. Working. I paused. Just for a second. You didn't see my call? There was a small gap. Not long, but long enough. I was on the phone, he said. Of course. That's why I called you right back. Right. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Okay. And that was it. That's how those conversations go. Short, clean, no space to dig deeper. Because if I go further, I already know what happens. He gets irritated. His tone changes. And suddenly I'm not asking a question anymore. I'm doing too much. So I let it go. Like I always do. But my mind doesn't let it go. It holds on to everything. Replays it. That pause before he answered me. That quick response, working. Like it was ready. Like it had been used before. And maybe it has. A few days later, it happened again. Same pattern. Call. No answer. 2 minutes. Call back. This time, I didn't even wait. As soon as I picked up, I said, "You always call me back after I call you." Silence. Just for a second. "What do you mean?" he said. There it is. That shift. That's just what you do when you miss a call. His tone wasn't aggressive, but it wasn't soft either. It was defensive. I kept my voice calm. "No, I mean, it's always like 2 minutes later." Another pause. Now I can hear it. That slight irritation. "I told you, I be busy," he said. Busy. Again. And right there, I had a choice. Push it or drop it. And I already knew which one I was going to choose. "Okay," I said. Soft. Easy. Conversation over. Just like that. But inside, it wasn't over at all. Because now it wasn't just a pattern anymore. It was something he was aware of. And the way he responded didn't make it feel better. It made it feel managed. Like he wasn't confused by what I said. He just didn't want to go there. And that's what keeps bringing me back to the same possibility. That he's somewhere he's not supposed to be. And when my name pops up on his phone, everything pauses. And I can see it so clearly in my head, it almost feels real. He looks at the screen, sees my name, doesn't answer, gets up, walks away from wherever he is. Maybe says something like, "I'll be right back." Steps outside, closes a door, gets in his car, then calls me. Like nothing ever happened. And I sit there, on the other end of the phone, playing my role perfectly. Like I don't see it. Like I don't feel it. Like I don't already know what that looks like, because I've seen it before. Because I've been part of it before. And that's the part that won't let me rest. Not the guessing, but the knowing. Or at least, feeling like I know. And still choosing to say nothing. By the time I see him later that night, I've already thought about it 100 different ways. Not out loud, never out loud. Just in my head. And by the time his car pulls up, I've already decided who I'm going to be. Not the woman who's questioning. Not the woman who's connecting dots. No, I become the version of me that makes everything easier. I hear the door, and before he even gets his key in, I'm already there. Waiting. Smiling. Big. Too big. "Hey," I say, in that light, playful voice, that soft one, the one he likes. I open the door before he even has to. "Welcome home." I lean in, kiss him, like everything is exactly how it should be. And he kisses me back like it is. Like nothing in the world is off. "Hey, baby," he says, casual, comfortable. And I step back just enough to look at him. Really look at him. But not in a way he would notice. In my head, everything is louder. Did he just shower? Or is that from earlier? Is that the same shirt? Or did he change before he came home? Did he see her today? Did he touch her? Did she touch him? Did they go somewhere? Did she sit in his car, the same seat I sit in? And then another thought comes in, quiet, but sharp. Does she like his cologne? The one he has on right now. The one I bought. All of them. I bought. Everything about him. The way he smells, the way he dresses, the way he presents himself. That's me. I did that. And now I'm standing here, smiling in his face, wondering if someone else is experiencing the version of him that I built. And the crazy part is, he has no idea what's going on in my head. All he sees is a happy wife, a calm wife, a loving wife, someone who isn't questioning anything, someone who isn't noticing patterns. And I can almost feel it, that sense of comfort he has. Like, his system is working. Like, whatever he's doing is going unnoticed. And I play into it perfectly. "Are you hungry?" I ask, still smiling. "A little," he says, walking in, dropping his keys. "Long day?" "Yeah, just work," he says. Work. There it is again. That word. So simple, so clean. And I nod like it makes perfect sense. I figured. And I turn, walking toward the kitchen, like I'm not carrying 100 thoughts at once. Because I've learned something over time. You don't always get answers by asking. Sometimes you get more by watching, by listening, by letting people think they're getting away with something. And here's the part I don't say out loud, but I think it every single time. He thinks I don't see it. He thinks he's too smooth, too calculated, too careful. But what he doesn't understand is, I don't need proof. I work off instinct. And my instinct has never been wrong before. Not really. And even if I don't have the full picture, I know enough. Enough to feel it. Enough to recognize it. Enough to understand the position I'm in. Because here's the truth, the real truth. Even if he wasn't with her today, he wants her. And that changes everything. Because it's not just about what he's doing. It's about what he would do, if given the space. And I think about her sometimes. Not in a jealous way, not even in an angry way. Just observant. Because I've seen their dynamic. And I understand something she probably doesn't. The version of him she deals with now is not the version she had before. And that's not an accident. That's me. I did that. I learned him. I figured out what sets him off, what calms him down, what makes him shut down, what makes him stay. I became his balance, his soft place, the one who smooths things over, the one who keeps everything from escalating. So when she interacts with him now, she's getting a version of him that's already been worked on, already been adjusted, and she benefits from that, without even knowing it. And when she frustrates him, when she gets on his nerves, when things get tense, he doesn't explode the way he used to. Because I've taught him, without even realizing it. And then he comes home, to me, with that same energy. And I fix it. Calm him down, shift his mood, make everything feel better again. And then he goes back out into the world. Balanced, put together. And whatever version of him she gets is still benefiting from me. And that's the part that sits heavy. Because I've done all the work. But I don't feel like I get all the priority. And I don't say that out loud. I just smile, cook, kiss him goodnight, and keep everything running smoothly, while everything in my head keeps running non-stop. After a while, I stopped looking for big answers. Because nothing about this is big. It's all small. Quick movements, quiet shifts, things that could mean nothing, but don't feel like nothing. Like the way he is in the bedroom at night. Laying on his back, phone in his hand, completely locked in. And I don't even go in there loud anymore. I walk in soft, because I've learned something. You see more when people don't know you're looking. One night, I walked in quietly, and I saw it. His screen. Messages. I didn't see names. I didn't see words. But I saw enough to know he was in a conversation. And the second he felt me behind him, his thumb moved. Fast. Swipe. Gone. New screen. Like it never existed. and I paused for a second, just standing there. Because now I'm thinking, maybe it's nothing. Maybe he just switched apps. People do that. That's normal. But then another thought comes in. If it's nothing, why move it? "What you doing?" I asked. Light, casual. "Just on my phone," he said. Already settled into something else. "Of course. Just on your phone." And I nodded, like that answered something. "Okay," I said, walking past him. But in my head, it didn't sit right. Because that movement wasn't random. It was quick, intentional. Like he didn't want me to see what I already saw. And I didn't say anything. I never do. Another night, same room, different feeling. He's up late. Real late. And I'm laying there, eyes closed, but not asleep. Because I can feel it. The light from his phone. The movement. And then, that small vibration. That sound you only notice when everything else is quiet. Pause. Then his fingers start moving. Typing. Not scrolling. Typing. And I don't move. I don't open my eyes. I just lay there, listening. Because I already know, if I ask, it's going to be something simple. Something clean. Something like, I'm just listening to a podcast. A podcast. At 2 a.m. While your phone is vibrating and your fingers are responding to something. And I used to question things like that. I used to ask, but I don't anymore. Because I've learned something that changed everything for me. Sometimes, peace doesn't come from answers. It comes from acceptance. And I had to make a decision. Not about him. About me. Because I realized something very real and very uncomfortable. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to be stressed every day. I don't want to fight for clarity and lose everything else in the process. So I adjusted. Not emotionally, strategically. I stopped calling him. Completely. And not in a dramatic way. Not to prove a point. Just quietly. Because I already knew what would happen. I would call, he wouldn't answer, and then I'd sit there, thinking. So I removed the situation altogether. But I still answer when he calls. Every time. And that confused him. I could hear it in his voice one day. "Why you don't call me anymore?" he asked. Not aggressive. Just, curious. Like something changed, and he couldn't figure out what. I kept my tone soft. "I mean, you don't really answer when I call," I said. Simple. No attitude. "So I just wait for you to call me when you can." There was a pause. Not long, but enough. And then he said, "You don't miss me." That question almost made me smile. Because if he could hear my thoughts, he wouldn't ask that. But out loud, I just said, I do. And left it there. And from that moment on, I changed something else. I stopped reacting. Completely. If something felt off, I didn't question it. If something didn't make sense, I didn't dig into it. If he gave me an excuse, I just said, "Oh, okay." Like it made perfect sense. Like I believed it. Like I didn't even think twice about it. And I could feel it. The shift. He expected tension. He expected questions. He expected me to care in a way that showed. But instead, I gave him calm, politeness, ease. And that's what confused him. Because now, he can't read me. The same way I read him. And here's the truth, the real truth. I've started to not care the way I used to. Not in a loud way. Not in a I'm done way. In a quiet way. A controlled way. Because I've accepted something. I'm taken care of. I'm in the wife position. And whatever he's doing, he's careful enough to keep it away from me. And controlled enough to keep everything functioning. With me, with her, with everything. And for now, that works. So I don't chase answers anymore. I don't interrupt patterns. I don't expose what I see. I just observe, adjust, and continue playing my role perfectly. While everything in my head stays exactly where it belongs. Silent. And I know a lot of people wouldn't understand this. A lot of people would hear everything I just said and immediately think, why would she stay? Why doesn't she say something? She's better than that. And maybe they're right. Or maybe they just live differently. Because not everyone is built to walk away from something stable just to prove a point. Not everyone wants to trade certainty for struggle. And not everyone needs loud answers to understand quiet truths. Because the truth is, I see more than I say. I understand more than I question. And I feel more than I show. Some people would argue. Some people would demand proof. Some people would push until everything explodes. But I've learned something about myself. I don't move like that. Not because I'm weak, but because I'm aware. Aware of what I gain. Aware of what I would lose. Aware of what this situation actually is, not what I wish it was. And I know how it looks. From the outside, it probably looks like I'm ignoring things. Like I'm choosing not to see what's right in front of me. Like I'm settling. But that's not what this is. This is calculated. This is controlled. This is me deciding what matters most to me right now. Because I've already asked myself the real question. Not, is he doing something? But, if he is, what am I going to do about it? And for now, my answer is nothing. Not because I don't care, but because I've chosen my position. And once I accepted that, everything got quieter. Not in my mind, that still runs, but in my actions, in my reactions, in the way I move. I don't call. I don't question. I don't react to things that feel off. I don't interrupt his patterns. I let things be what they are, and I adjust myself accordingly. And maybe one day, that answer will change. Maybe one day, what I'm willing to accept will look different. Maybe one day, I'll want something else. But today I understand my reality clearly, without emotion clouding it, without needing him to explain it, without needing proof to confirm it. And there's a strange kind of peace in that. Not a perfect peace, but a quiet one. The kind of peace that comes from not fighting what you already feel. So, no, I'm not confused anymore. And I'm not searching for answers. I'm just aware. And sometimes, that's more than enough. Because in the end, this isn't just about him. It's about me. What I'm willing to hold, what I'm willing to overlook, what I'm willing to live with for the life I've chosen. And whether people understand that or not doesn't really matter, because they don't live here. I do. And this is just one of those things I keep to myself. Silent in love,